Wonderful. Well, I think we should get started since we have some participants joining us from all over. Let's go ahead and get the webinar started. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Claire Riley. I'm Vice President of College Marketing and Communications on behalf of the Office of Alumni Engagement. I want to thank you for joining us. It's an exciting time here at Iona College, and it's terrific to see alumni from all across the country tuning in to hear tonight's update. It's my pleasure to introduce the 9th president of Iona College, Dr. Seamus Carey. As you probably know, Dr. Carey began his tenure at Iona in July 2019, and prior to Iona, he served as president of Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky, and before that as Dean of Arts and Sciences at Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. No stranger to New York, he was born and raised in the Bronx, attended Mount St. Michael's Academy, and earned his undergrad degree from Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, and a Master's of Arts and Ph.D. in Philosophy from Fordham University. We're delighted to have him with us tonight to provide an update on some of the accomplishments and challenges over the past 2 years and answer some of the questions on the Iona community's mind. So in just a moment, I'll get into the questions, and should you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat feature, which we'll be monitoring throughout the conversation. And now I'll turn it over to you, President Carey.
Thank you, Mary Claire, and thank you all for taking time to join us tonight. I'm happy to speak with you and update you on some of the things that are happening here at Iona. It's hard to believe it's 2.5 years or more that I've been here at Iona already. And when I first came, the folks here on campus probably got tired of hearing me say that the headwinds against small private Catholic schools in higher ed were pretty strong, and that we would have to innovate and move quickly to resist those headwinds and get past them. And I have to say, I can't tell you how impressed I am with the Iona community and how we've pulled together over this past 2.5 years to not only innovate, but to work together under the most difficult circumstances to not just survive, but we've actually gone forward and done a lot of really interesting things. And so we wanted to take this opportunity tonight to share some of that work with you and to talk also about what we plan on doing going forward, and hopefully to answer any questions you might have about what it is we're doing and where we're going.
Wonderful. Well, Iona was just recognized at the number 20 spot in U.S. News and World Report's list of most innovative schools in the North region. So it's nice to know that people are noticing as we're innovating. What would you say are some of the top highlights of the past year?
Well, one of the most newsworthy developments is certainly the purchase of the Bronxville campus. The campus was formerly Concordia College. Unfortunately, they succumbed to the headwinds that are facing small private schools. We had been in conversations with them for almost 2 years about how we might be able to take advantage of that unfortunate experience for them. So we managed to get that deal done. We closed on that property in November, and we're in the midst of planning how to move forward with that property in the coming years. In addition to that, at the same time, in parallel to that process, we were developing a School of Health Sciences. We had launched some really good programs in health sciences, and the next step was to develop a school. And that will fit nicely over at the new campus as well. We've started work on what we're calling the Murphy Green, the generous gift of Joe Murphy, and in honor of his wife, Joanne, who was a devout servant on our board of trustees for many years. And that will be a transformative project for the center of campus. We completed the capital campaign of $150 million, and we finished it a year earlier than was projected. Our enrollment in the midst of COVID, when national trends were down 7, 8, 9%, Iona managed to increase enrollment by 15% year over year for the past 2 years. So that was an incredible accomplishment on behalf of our enrollment team, but really everybody on campus pulled together to make sure the students were hearing the Iona story and they were attracted to it. We've developed some performing arts and club sports to enhance student engagement. Obviously, our basketball program, we can talk more about that in a bit. And most importantly, our students are back on campus yesterday to start the spring semester, and the excitement here is just palpable, and it's really exciting to have them back.
It certainly is. Why don't we start with and go a little bit more depth? The first, one of the first highlights you mentioned, the partnership that we have struck with New York Presbyterian and the development of the NYP Iona School of Health Sciences. Can you speak a little bit about how that came about and what makes the partnership so significant and such an opportunity for not just Iona, but for our students?
Sure. So, you know, when I talk about innovation, one of the things that I've been noticing for quite a while is that schools like Iona have so much to offer to the community beyond our campus walls. And one of the ways that that can happen is to engage in partnerships with prestigious institutions when possible. And so when we were looking at the Bronxville campus, at the same time, I was looking for a partner in the health sciences because I knew that this is a really promising area for our students, not just to become well-educated in the Iona way, but also for job placement in the future, because the health sciences the jobs are in such demand. So Al Kelly, who has been an incredible mentor to me since I came here, came to breakfast with me one morning, and I was pitching an idea to him about pursuing a partner in the health sciences. And I had another institution in mind, and I actually had a meeting set up the following Wednesday to meet the CEO of that institution. But in talking to Al, I said to Al, how would you pitch this idea? And he said, well, I'm not entirely sure, but let me call the CEO of New York Presbyterian because I'm on that board of trustees. I left the diner and Al called me back in about 20 minutes and he said, the CEO would like to talk to you. So I talked to Steve Colburn about 20 minutes after that. And New York Presbyterian was really excited about the vision we had for the School of Health Sciences and for our new home in Bronxville. And so that conversation led to the negotiations of a gift agreement. They gave us a very generous gift of $20 million to stand up the school and to support that school. And this is really a transformative moment, I think, in Iona's history. As I dive more deeply into the health sciences and where this is going in the future, and just what demand there is in the country and actually a need for change in healthcare. Our health sciences school has a chance to be really cutting edge and really distinctive moving forward. And our students are really going to benefit from that.
Absolutely. It's an incredibly exciting partnership with so much potential. I know that in December, we took ownership of the Bronxville campus, formerly Concordia College's campus, which nearly doubles Iona's footprint. That, I believe, will be the principal location of the NYP Iona School of Health Sciences. Can you speak to how that space will be used and what we can expect there?
Sure. So the Bronxville campus initially, in my mind, was really important for a few reasons. One, as all of the folks on the line know, Iona is a really beautiful campus, but it's small and it's landlocked. And in order to enhance the student experience and to promote student engagement on campus and the things that we can do for students outside the classroom, we just needed more space. And so we were looking for space when the Bronxville campus opportunity came along. And so the first motivation really was we would have space for club sports, for additional varsity sports, for performing arts and those sort of things for our students to experience. Obviously, with the School of Health Sciences coming online and the partnership with New York Presbyterian, we are going to enhance our learning environment for students in the health sciences. That process is already underway. We have architects engaged who are really nationally renowned architects in this area. And the initial designs for the new School of Health Sciences are being developed. You can see on the screen some of the initial imagery and the things that we'll be building out in one of the buildings at the Bronxville campus. This is going to be a state-of-the-art building with the cutting-edge simulation labs, collaborative learning spaces, faculty sit-down places, learning spaces for student engagement with each other and with faculty, guest speakers and guest lecturers. It's going to be a phenomenal space, and we're really excited to have that work starting up.
Also, I know that you mentioned earlier in the introduction club sports and performing arts, and the opportunities for students to engage outside the classroom. Can you talk to us about how club sports and performing arts is playing a role in the Iona experience that we offer to students?
Sure. So one of my strong beliefs about college education, especially for residential students, is that learning should happen all the time, not just in the classroom. So when students leave the classroom, we need to create the spaces and the environments for learning to continue to happen. So what they take the conversations that start in the classroom and they continue to develop those ideas and those experiences outside the classroom. Those things happen when you have opportunities for students to engage, whether it's through, as we said, performing arts or club sports. Not every college student is going to be a Division I athlete, but that doesn't mean that the high school experiences they had should end when they come to college. So we're building out a really robust club sports program so that students, again, who they may not play for Rick Pitino, but they can play competitive sports in the club environment and travel to schools and have a team experience here on campus. We're doing that for soccer, men's and women's soccer. We're doing it in the performing arts. So this year we launched our Irish dance team, for example, right? We just started this team less than a year ago, and they went down to Villanova University, competed in the national championships and won. We had some dancers here on campus. Again, this is an incredible talent that these students had, and it was dormant until we started the Irish dance team. And now they get to express themselves and actually compete, and they were successful this year. And so we're going to do this with multiple clubs and organizations. It's a relatively small investment, but it really enhances the student experience at college. And as I said, it continues the learning experience outside the classroom. That's also true. I mean, to talk about some of the spaces we're developing, Murphy Green and others, right? This is all driven towards driving learning forward, right? Learning all the time outside the classroom and inside the classroom.
It's really exciting, and it's so fun to see the students and how engaged they are in these new activities on campus together. I know we have, I think, nearly 100 students on the esports team that are so enthusiastic about it. So it's wonderful. Now, you did mention Rick Pitino, and as it's really exciting to see the performing arts and club sports in action, but we can't talk sports at this time of year without mentioning college basketball. Dr. Carey, can you talk about how our new Hall of Fame head coach and the basketball team's early success has been indicative and reflective of the plans that we have for Iona?
Yeah, so you know what, I'm going to back up and share with you all one of my first conversations with Coach Pitino before he came on board. And I wanted to be very clear, while I had incredible respect for what he accomplished as a coach throughout his career. I mean, probably one of the 2 or 3 best college coaches in the history of the game. The reason we wanted him here was not just to win basketball games. We wanted him here to enhance the college experience. And we wanted Iona to get the exposure that we know it deserves. We wanted to be able to tell the Iona story to a broader audience. We want to tell the Iona story to a national audience. And he understood that from the first day. And I just noticed this the other day, that 5 of our basketball team are on the MAC all-academic team this year. This is, I think, the first time we've had such high achieving academics on the basketball team, while they are also obviously competing at such a high level on the court. One thing about Rick Pitino that nobody can question is his unrelenting drive for excellence. And as I've shared with my senior staff, we can take note of that, and we should try to emulate that, right? We should be excellent at everything we do on this campus. And so that's what we're striving for, right? We're all working really hard to achieve the highest degree of excellence we can in whatever it is we're doing. And Rick obviously knows what that is. He knows what that takes. And he's really, I think, happy to share this. I literally, before I came on here, was on the phone with him, and we're talking about different strategies for conference alignments and so forth, and scheduling for next year. He's really fully engaged. And I can tell you, he actually loves the team. He loves the kids. He did say to me the other day, he goes, it's probably not his most talented team ever, but he absolutely loves the kids, their effort, and the quality of their character. And for Iona, that's what's most important.
Yes, they're off to such a successful start, thankfully. And I think it seems that the school spirit has really been ignited around the team and the opportunities for students and faculty and just the community to get involved. It seems like it's become a platform and a sort of a rallying point. We just saw the photo of
Yeah,
students
so
before the game.
that's a great point, Mary Claire. Uh, there's no question that winning creates a more happy environment, and the men's team has become a magnet for the entire campus to come together. We've launched Gale Gates, which is a pregame sort of celebration where our student body gets together prior to marching into the game, and they actually march into the games prior to Christmas break. We had the marching band march our fans into the Heinz Arena, a totally unique experience in the country. And again, those are the little things that are unique to Iona that is making the student experience special. We've developed a growing pep band supported by Mike Beckeridge, an alum who has made generous donations to buy the instruments and support that band. We have a growing dance and cheer team that are excited to develop along with the basketball team. And one of the things, I was at the game last Sunday that was really exciting to see. The students were still on break, so they weren't here to attend the game. There was a smattering of students, but the gym was nearly full, and we've become the community team. Right? It was full with community people who just love to see quality basketball and quality kids playing basketball. So, that sort of community engagement for Iona really excites me as well.
I echo that. It's been a really fun experience. Moving towards that line, congratulations on completing the Iona Forever comprehensive campaign. I know that is a demonstration of the enthusiasm that people have for Iona. We did that completed above the goal and ahead of schedule. What's been the impact of the campaign on the campus here?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just point out that the majority of the campaign was done before I got here. And that's a credit to Joe Nair, my predecessor, and to Pam Botke and her team, who did a phenomenal job in getting that campaign off the ground. What I did do was I accelerated the completion from 3 years to 2 years. I said, we can do this in 2 years. I didn't know when I said that the COVID would come, but we stuck to it. And with the incredible generosity of our alumni base, friends, family, corporations, foundations, we exceeded, as you said, we exceeded the $150 million goal with $154 million a year ahead of schedule. We had 15,000 alumni donate to this campaign, which shows the incredible commitment of our alumni and a huge part of what makes Iona such a special place. Some of the work that we've accomplished with those donations includes the LaPenta School of Business, the addition and the atrium and the classrooms. It's a state-of-the-art business school. The Heinz Institute with the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and Innovation, spearheaded by Christoph Winkler, is a growing program which is also getting national recognition. They just got picked up to partner with Syracuse University on a federal grant in which they received hundreds of thousands of dollars to help veterans stand up businesses, and our students and our staff will help those veterans work on those businesses. Our endowment has increased to $220 million, right? I think that's a 260% increase over the last 10 years. A lot of that's market driven, but that couldn't have happened if we didn't have the principle for the market to boost forward. So the campaign has been incredibly successful. As I've already talked about a couple of times, the Murphy Green is going to be transformational space at the center campus where we had that parking lot outside Spelman Hall and the LaPenta School of Business. It's now going to look like the images on your screen. And that work is well underway. Thankfully, we got good weather here in the late fall, early winter. And a lot of the brick work is done. All the cement work is done. A lot of the stone work is done. And we hopefully will get, there you see the concrete. Hopefully we'll get good weather going forward and get this sewn up in March and April. So I can't say how much, I can't overstate how much the campaign has transformed the college.
It's really, really exciting. I know students cannot wait for that Murphy Green to be up and ready in the spring. we've heard a lot about the Gals Go Further mentoring program. Can you speak about the role that alumni can play in mentoring Iona students and even other Iona alumni?
Sure. So at my prior institution, I started a mentoring program, and it was incredibly successful and had a dramatic impact on the students. But what was most surprising and rewarding was that it had a dramatic impact on the alumni who participated. They enjoyed interacting with the students enormously. So when I came to Iona and I saw the engagement and I saw how committed our alumni are, and I saw the incredible range of success and the incredible range of professions that our alumni are in, I thought we have to do this here because our students will benefit so much from interacting with our alumni in all these different walks of professions. And so we started the Girls Go Further alumni program last year. It has been an incredible success. We piloted it this year. We started with 50 students to make sure that we could manage the first group really well. I think we had over 80 alumni mentors sign up to work with those 50 students. And what's great about it is that there are formal one-on-one mentoring relationships, but there are other relationships in which we do flash mentoring, and we have informal mentoring, and many ways in which our alumni can engage with students and help them navigate their paths to professional life. And I have to point out the incredible support and leadership that Jim Oates has shown in getting this program up and running. He has donated his time and resources to this program, and that's why one of the reasons it's going incredibly well.
Okay, we're going to move into forward-looking questions now. And if anyone has questions, we'll be monitoring the chat and incorporating questions from any of the participants later on. So the last 2 years have not been simple or easy ones, but we certainly have accomplished quite a lot. Looking ahead past this current day, what are your top priorities for 2022?
Well, some of the things I've been talking about are set up for future success. They're not there yet. In particular, the Bronxville campus is going to require an incredible amount of work and coordination, integrating the two campuses, getting that campus in tip-top shape over the next several years, using it to our best advantage, engaging the community in the right ways. So that's going to be a lot of work and require a lot of focus. Here on the North Shell campus, obviously, we keep things up and running. We continue to innovate with our academics. We'll be developing some new academic programs, not just in the health sciences, but elsewhere. We are in the process of hiring a new dean for the School of Health Sciences, and we just signed our new director of the nursing program, and we are incredibly excited about her. She has had incredible success doing this work elsewhere, and I think she's going to be an incredible asset to Iona and the nursing program. So those are some of the things we have to get going, Mary Claire. They're well underway, and we've got a lot of people working hard on these things, but it will require diligence and attention going forward.
Right. I'm going to incorporate one of the questions that I'm seeing in through the chat that acknowledges Iona's got a great computer science and analytics programs. And is there any thought to incorporating healthcare informatics into the new School of Health Sciences or some combination interdisciplinary program?
Absolutely. And so those are the conversations that are underway. You know, what are the forward-looking academic programs that will serve our students well in the evolving space of health sciences, business analytics, data analytics? Those are exactly the conversations that are underway, and we will be looking to roll those out as we go forward.
And what do you see as greatest challenges moving forward?
Well, the headwinds aren't going away. And so while Iona has had fairly decent success over the past couple of years, we're not going to be able to sit back and relax and enjoy the success for a number of reasons. One, the demographics, right? There are just less high school students going to college these days. And of those high school students who are going to college, there are less who are qualified. There are less who can afford it. And so the competition to tell the Iona story and have students attracted to Iona is serious, and we are working hard to make sure that we're doing everything we can to attract students here to come to Iona. So that's not going away. So embedded what I just said is affordability. We work really hard to make the education we offer affordable. We are traditionally a school that has serviced well first-generation students. We continue to do that. That requires incredible investment on the part of the institution. We're committed to that, but we need to have the resources to continue to do that well. So those are some challenges, Mary Claire. And I think another challenge, which, I mean, everybody in the line will probably appreciate this, is, in the media, the way higher ed is portrayed is very often misleading, if not factually wrong. And so we have to counter the narratives that are out there about higher ed. It is just indisputable that students who graduate from college do better over the course of their lifetime by a lot. So we're very proud of what we do here at Iona. We have to tell our story and tell it well. Obviously, you're a big part of that, and I think we've been doing a pretty good job at that. And my job is to make sure we have the ingredients of that story to tell.
Well, thank you. We have a question about town-gown relations, and now obviously any institution, any organization has to work within municipalities. We've been located in New Rochelle, and also now we'll have a campus in Bronxville. Is there anything you want to say about the relationships or working with the city of New Rochelle and or the town of Bronxville?
Yeah, so I mean, that was an interesting one when I came here. Clearly there was some tension between Iona and New Rochelle. I have to say, since I've been here over the last 2.5 years, I have an incredible, wonderful relationship in New Rochelle. The mayor and I communicate any important messages first. If I have something important that's happening at Iona, I let him know about it, and he shares the same courtesy with me. We look out for each other as people first, and I think that he appreciates the fact that he was sick there a few weeks ago. You just reach out and you ask him how he's doing. That goes a long way. We have a lot to offer New Rochelle, right? And again, for example, through the Heinz Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, we help businesses in the New Rochelle community. During COVID, our students and faculty were helping tutor kids online in New Rochelle systems, right? We reach out to the community, and by reaching out to the community, we benefit ourselves, right? Our students learn in different and new ways. They understand how their education actually applies to things that are taking place in the community. So their education and the material they're learning comes alive for them. And so the community in New Rochelle has really appreciated that engagement from us. And they've been very cooperative with us. So when we went to do the Murphy Green, I called the mayor, he put me in touch. We had the permits in a couple of days, and they said, well, the parking thing looks good. And it did, it was right. And we got that done. So it's really important to have those relationships. And we're going to try and forge those same relationships in Bronxville. I have a very good relationship with the mayor of Bronxville. We've been engaged in conversations now for 1.5 years. She's fantastic, really bright woman. And I think they're excited about us being there. But it's really important to have strong relationships with those people. We have to work with them, right? So I will try to continue to make that work.
Wonderful. So a few more questions. What has been the most rewarding part about being Iona's president so far?
That's a good question. Well, I have to say, I love our students. I've been at a number of schools, really fine schools, and everywhere I've been, I've loved the students as well. But the students at Iona are different. I find that there's a different quality to them. There's a real genuine sense of humility among our students. A lot of kids today I have found at other institutions come with some degree of entitlement, and that's kind of a cultural thing, I think. I don't find that here. I find that our students are very grateful for their educational opportunities. They support one another. I think one of the reasons we've had success with handling COVID so well is the cooperation and the understanding that all of our students and our faculty and staff have brought to the problem. And we've all recognized that it's it makes sense to do this together, even if it's inconvenient, even if we don't want to wear the masks. And I'm guilty of that more than any. But we come together, we remind each other, we support each other. And I have to say, I'm so impressed with the students.
I absolutely concur. We have a question about, can you address how Iona is true to its liberal art roots and how liberal arts integrates with School of Health Sciences or some of our other programs?
Yeah, great question. So as you may know, or you know your introduction, I am a philosopher by training. I believe wholeheartedly in the importance of liberal arts education, and that's not going to leave. I feel like that's the core of the Iona education, and it is literally represented as such in our core curriculum. And so all of our students continue to take and get trained in the liberal arts. And it's so important because the liberal arts do so much for young people developing their minds, their intellects, their imaginations, right, their moral character. All those things are enhanced, right, and supported and informed and freed up by studying the humanities, studying literature, studying history, studying art, right? We learn about ourselves by losing ourselves in those conversations and in those lines of thinking. And we learn to think more clearly and more in a more disciplined way by going through those courses. And I would never deny our students that developmental path. And those types of courses are going to make anybody who studies nursing or accounting or any of the other professions, occupational therapy, they are all going to be better at their professions, having studied history, philosophy, literature, right? And that's the combination that Iona can offer and really set our students apart as they go out into the world.
Wonderful. I would say another question coming in, what ways would you encourage alumni to get involved? And even if they're from outside of, the immediate community or the tri-state area?
So one of the good developments of the communications we've had to use during COVID is that we do this sort of thing. And I know that the mentoring program has a virtual component to it as well. So that would be one place to start, reach out to the alumni office and maybe ask how one might get involved in the mentoring program, and it can be done virtually. And as that program develops, I think there'll be more and more opportunities, not just for virtual interaction, but one of the things I envision us doing is having students travel to cities outside of New York and see how people handle their work environments in other places and other environments. I have found that in my last mentoring program we developed, that was an incredibly powerful experience for our students. It's kind of a mini study abroad, mini internship. They go for a week to a city and they shadow somebody, an alum in a workplace, and learn about that place, about that job, about that person. And so reaching out to the alumni office, there's virtual opportunities to get engaged. There'll be, once this COVID burns out, there'll be travel opportunities for our students to visit. And those are some of the ways we can get engaged. And if you're ever just here in town, obviously visiting, and we can set things up, whether it's interactions with students or seminars and so forth, we would love to do that as well.
Awesome. We have a question returning to athletics, but any thoughts on the MAC and Iona in the MAC or other schools coming in or out of the MAC?
Yeah, so that's actually the conversation I just had with Rick Pitino an hour ago. So I'm going to give you I'll share with you what we talked about. I mean, I think Monmouth is leaving. It looks like they're leaving it. The commissioner told me today it's 70% sure Monmouth's leaving. It's not 100% sure, but they're probably going to go. It'll probably be final on Monday. So what happens? The MAC at that point in time would be a 10-team conference. We have 11 teams in the MAC right now. And, given Iona's place in the MAC and sort of the performance of our team at the moment and where I think we're going over the next several years, it wouldn't be the worst thing for Iona to have a 10-team conference. And the reason for that would free us up to schedule 2 more non-conference games. And as Rick and I were just talking about, that's 2 more opportunities to play a Power 5 team in the Garden, or to travel to Kentucky or to Kansas or to Louisville. He won't go to Louisville. We'll travel to some of these other schools and see where we stand against these powerful schools, because I think it's going to be a fun process over the next couple of years. So, those are some thoughts. It's very preliminary. Monmouth is probably leaving. We'll have 10 teams, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Great. I know we have questions also about when's the next webinar. So we're getting a lot of positive feedback. So I don't know that we have that scheduled yet, but I'll definitely let the alumni office reach out, and I'm sure they will be advertising the next one. Before we wrap up, I wanted to do some just quick fire fun questions to let people know a little bit more about you.
This could be dangerous, but go ahead.
I know, this is a risk. We could do it. What was your favorite part about growing up in the Bronx?
Oh, I grew up in a neighborhood called Woodlawn, and it was surrounded by the Woodlawn Cemetery to the south, the Bronx River Parkway to the east, and the Major Deegan to the west. And so it was a neighborhood that was virtually enclosed by these natural barriers. And so it was this incredibly tight-knit community of Irish immigrants primarily. So many of us first generation, and some people used to refer to it as the 33rd county. And so I grew up really with a dual cultural experience in the Bronx, but then we would travel around to other neighborhoods and play ball and stuff. So it was a fun community experience.
Awesome. I thought maybe you'd just say the food, but that does let
now.
people get to know.
I did not have a palate when I was a kid growing up in an Irish neighborhood. I had to develop that palate over time. And now it's Little Italy in the Bronx.
Another question, what do you do in your first 30 minutes of the day?
So I've been pretty disciplined since I came home to Iona, and I go to the gym 6 days a week at 5:30, and I work out for an hour every day, except Sunday, and I go to church on Sunday. My first thing on Sunday is church. So I've been very disciplined with that. Unless something really unusual comes up, that's what I do. And I do that because the job requires me to do that. It keeps my head straight.
I hear that. What's your favorite spot on campus?
The gym when we're playing. I love going to the Brothers Chapel, whether it's for quiet time or when we have the small service there. The Christian Brothers, to me, are still the pulse of this campus. And I really do, I really do believe that the spirit of the brothers is what sustains us and makes it possible for us to do what we're doing. And so I love going up there from time to time and stopping in there. And I often run into Brother Devlin or Brother Cousins or Brother Gunn, and we stop and we chat. And to me, that really is very, very palpably the guiding source and spirit of this campus.
Last one. If you didn't work at a college, what would you be doing?
Well, when I got here, we probably needed some new furniture in my office. And when Laura started looking at the furniture in magazines, it was so unbelievably expensive. I said, we're not buying that. So I made all my furniture instead. So all the furniture in my office, except for the chairs, I made. And I love doing carpentry and woodworking. So if I wasn't doing this and I could somehow afford to do that, I'd probably be doing some of that.
Wonderful. Maybe we'll incorporate a tour of your office into the next webinar.
Yeah.
Picture. Well, those are all the questions we have. Thank you so much, President Carey. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. As you heard, Iona is a school on the rise, and we're looking forward to our 50,000 plus alumni that make up Gal Nation to continue to be our ambassadors and to support Iona in any way you can. Thank you for joining us again, and good night.
Thank you, Mary Claire. And come to a game if you can.